I don't know. Okay, I will start. So good afternoon, everybody. First of all, let me thank the organizer for this great event and also for the invitation. It's a real pleasure for me to be here today. My name is Clementine Laurent. I'm based in Belgium. I have my own consulting company called Pharma Consulting, where I act as value and access strategic consultant. But today I'm here on behalf of EyeDPharma, where I serve as market access manager. And today I will discuss about a project very passionating for me, which is the integration of patients very early in the development. First, a short disclaimer. All the presentation reflect my own view and my professional experience. This is not the official position strategy of EyeDPharma, the partner of EyeDPharma, of the organization with which I collaborate. So, now we could start. Did you know that 50% of drug launch failure are linked to limited market access? For me, it's not a surprising information, because medicine are not goods, are the other one. Indeed, when you buy a car or a phone, there is one stakeholder. There is the people who choose, who pay, and generally use the product. But for medicine, it's not the same. There is the patient who take the drug. There is the prescriber who decide or at least advise the patient of the choice of the drug. And you have the payer that at least pay for, at least partially pay for the drug. So for me, stakeholder engagement is really a key for market access success. But all the stakeholders have different needs. If we start with the pharmaceutical company, they need to develop affordable strategy that still allow return of investment on the R&D investment. They need to develop sustainable revenue to full innovation. And we have a lot of examples of good products that are not affordable projects that stay in the lab. There is the payer. The payer needs to maximize patient coverage, but there is limited budget. And the budget is more and more limited with more and more different drugs on the market. And some drugs are very expensive. And so it's very complicated. So payer choose effective and cost-effective solution. And there is some example. I have example of glaucoma eye drop, which is combination of two products that are authorized in the Europe by the EMA, but not distributed in some country. For example, in Germany, because German payers say we won't reimburse this because there is not added value for us, and so patients don't have access in Germany. For the prescriber, for sure, they would like to have effective and safe treatment for the patient. But they also need to have products that are easy to integrate in their practice. Simply in prescribing, no burden of administrative task, and for the monitoring of the drug. And in the center, you have the patient. The patient, which, because you could develop a very wonderful product, very with a great efficacy, very safe, but it won't be a success if it doesn't meet the requirement of the patient. And I have an example, a concrete example of a product for multiple sclerosis. It was a nasal spray with a high efficacy, very safe, but unfortunately, linked to the disease, some patients cannot use the device. And so the product was a fail. The launch of the product was a fail. We will focus on the patient engagement, and we will start with a history of patient engagement. Before the 70s, there is no involvement of the patient. Patients were only considered as passive recipients. The decisions were made by clinician, regulator, and payer. between the 17 and 18, the first voice of patient arrived. It was with the HIV, AIDS, and rare disease community that demand faster access. And so patient fight for trial participation and transparency. During the 19 and the year 2000, it is the rising of patient association. And we saw a shift from patients that are subject to partner. In the year 2010, there is formal structure that arrive. For example, in EMA, patient working group, in FDA, you have the patient-focused drug development group, and there is the launch of EUPATI. EUPATI, for European Patient Academy on Therapeutic Innovation, which is an organization who provides guidance for patients and researchers to facilitate the work of the collaboration of researcher and patient. And now the patients are more and more integrated, and the patient voice were integrated in HTA process. So, how can we include patients on the R&D? So here you have a diagram from EUPATI, and you can see that you could engage patients in very different way, from very early in the development, like include patients for setting the research priority or for fundraising purpose. You could also include patients and for protocol synopsis and protocol design, for example, to define the target population, to find the correct endpoint that makes sense for the patient. You could also use patients for practical consideration. We listened this morning that it's important to include caregivers, and so it's important to have a voice of the patient to really understand what is important for patient and the family of the patient. You could also use patients for the recruitment, which is very difficult for clinical trial. You could also use patients after the study for data safety monitoring committee, study reporting, include in review of the report, and also after for regulatory purpose, HTA assessment, and post-study communication. Now I will speak about a more concrete project. So a few words about EyeDPharma. EyeDPharma is a Belgian clinical stage pharmaceutical company which is dedicated to the improvement of life of patients who suffer from ophthalmic disease, with developing innovative sustained release microimplant and complex therapeutics. Here you have the pipeline of EyeDPharma with one product in clinical phase 1, EyeD, which is an intraocular implant to treat glaucoma. You have a second product in feasibility, which is also an intraocular, but here it's a biodegradable implant in the back of the eye to treat intraocular inflammation. And you have EYD, which is in preclinical phase and which is a product to treat dry eye, but I will discuss a little bit more on this product. So, EYD is it's a bioresorbable ocular microinsert that provides lubrification for patients suffering from moderate to severe dry eye, and the insert could lubricate the eye during one day. And for this project, we decided to involve patients very early, and we involve patients during the feasibility phase. We have the design of the product, we have our innovation department that have done some prototype, and we decided to involve patients. And what we do, we established collaboration, long-term collaboration with patient association, different patient association, and we decided to conduct a structured survey and 6 languages across 9 countries to systematically capture patient perspective and the need of patient. This survey was conducted in Europe. And what we learn with this study? First of all, we understand more the disease, because dry eye is often considered as a comfort issue. But with discussing with patients and with the answer to the survey, we really confirm that it's not a comfort issue. It's really a debilitating condition. And we also highlight that there is medical errors. And so, with all information, we could also build a patient pathway map, which is something very important, because we would like to be sure to identify the right key stakeholder to be sure that our product will arrive to the patient, which are the practitioners we will see the patient, how they choose the treatment. It was very interesting things. Another thing, with this study, we could shape the development of our product. It allows us to refine our target population, and also it allows us to identify some patient-driven endpoints for our clinical evaluation, which is really important because dry eye is a multifactorial disease. And all the people that work in this field know that the measurement of dry eye is very variable. And so you really need to find the correct endpoint that makes sense for patients. And we arrived to find different patient-driven endpoints in this study. Another point is the fact that we have some strategic insight from the patient. So we are developing our product. We ask to the patient what they think about it. And after we ask what should be the next product, because we have a platform and we would like to know what we could include in the life cycle management of the product. And so they give us some insight that allow us to think about extension of our platform. Another part is the fact that, as I say, it's often considered as a comfort issue, and by the payer, it's difficult to have reimbursed product. So we would like to consider all the strategy. What we would like? We would like a reimbursed product or an OTC product. And so to understand and to see if the project could be affordable, we conduct in the study a willingness to pay survey, which give us this insight. And the last point, we took some patient testimony and we share internally with the team. It allowed to reinforce the motivation of all the team and really align with patient need. And it was a point very interesting for us. But there is some limitation. First of all, the fact that we involve early patient, we need, it's required resources and time. Another point, also important, is the patient relationship. So as you are early in the development and some patients have limited R&D understanding, it could create unrealistic expectation. But it's normal. When you suffer, it's normal that you would like to have the product tomorrow. But you need to explain to patient and to deal with the frustration of the patient that when you explain that it will take years and years. And it's rare, but you could also deal with frustration and aggressivity of some patient. Because for some patient, you are pharma, you would like only to have money and you don't care about the patient. And the last point is internal concern. Indeed, during the study, we asked to patient which patient, if the patient would like to participate to the development and if they are agreed to be contact for the following step of the development. But unfortunately, until now, we have more than the half of the patients that are agree to participate, but we don't use it because the team, especially regulatory and clinical development team, are very afraid with the conflict of interest. The use of patient voice and implication of patient very early, it's also it could lead to some problem issue for the confidentiality and the data protection, because you share some information and you don't know how patient will manage this. But for these two last points, there is some guidance from FDA and EMA who help you to know how to involve patients in your development. What are the key inside of the guidance? First, both EMA and FDA encourage patient input very early in the development. They also recognize patient input as valid evidence to define meaningful endpoint. Another point is the transparency. They give some care to really know how to anticipate and manage the conflict of interest. They clarify the role. You could have patient advisor, which are different than trial participant. And last, they give you a structure process to include patient and to know how to document it. So, I hope that you are all convinced that patient engagement is not a box to tick. It's really important to include patient voice, to have product not only for patient, but develop product with patient. Thank you. Yes.
And then is it something that, how do you see from patient, someone who is expert on patient engagement, how do you see that it could be easier or which kind of parameters?
Yes, I think it's not easy because we know all and HTA, they implicated patient voice, but only consultative opinion. But I think that if we work very early with patient, we could really buy quality of life scale, very validated, and that we could arrive to really quantify the impact of quality of life. But if you do that at the end of the development, maybe you don't maybe have the time to create your own quality of life scale, which is really dedicated to your product, and so maybe it's more difficult. But it's not always recognized as endpoint by HTA, but they listen to patient vote, and I think that it will be the next step to really endorse this kind of endpoint.
All the questions. Thank you again. It's great.
Thank you.